Shri Anandamayi Mat Ki Jai. In the month of Bhadra, August, September, arrangements were made for another visit to the Siddheshwari Kali temple. We reached Siddheshwari just before dusk, and after cooking rice and other dishes, offered them to the deity. This type of offering had never been done before, but Bholanath told me to do it in whatever manner that came from within. And I did so. The night was nearly over, and I stayed there the next day. This body's father would spend the days at the temple, and Bholanath came in the evening and spent the nights. After 2 or 3 days, Baul too began to spend the nights there. At that time, this body stayed alone in the small room adjacent to the main temple. At dawn, after bathing, she would wrap only a single piece of cloth around herself and enter the room to spend the entire day and night there, either lying on the floor lost within herself or just quietly sitting in silence. Occasionally, she would walk inside the temple. She would come out of the room only once at night to offer some fruits to Kali and partake of a small quantity herself before returning to the room. When 7 days had passed in this manner, after partaking of the fruit prasad to Kali at the end of the night, I said to Bholanath, "Let's go out." And we went to the place where Mahadev has now been installed. Baul had spent the whole night sitting at the temple door, but he did not hear us when Bholanath and I stepped out. This was the first time in the worldly sense that I saw this place, which was a wasteland with a small raised area, a white ant mound, and a large pool of rainwater on the side. It was raining heavily, and Bholanath and I were drenched as I circumambulated the small raised ground 3 times. I then placed my right palm on the center, pressing it as I sat down. The arm sank into the ground right up to the shoulder. Seeing this, Bholanath exclaimed anxiously, "What is happening? Your arm is going in all the way." And saying so, he pulled this body up by her arm to a sitting position. Immediately, warm, reddish water gushed out like a fountain from the hole thus made. This is the spot where shivling is now installed. After about half an hour, Bholanath hurriedly took me back to the Kali temple. When my arm had sunk into the ground, it had come into contact with an object which I brought up and which Bholanath then threw into the pond adjoining the Siddheshwari Kali temple. In the morning, we returned to Shahbag. After 3 days, this body told Baul to seal the spot where the arm had sunk with certain ingredients, and also instructed him to ensure that the spot was maintained properly. He planted a tulsi and a few flowering plants. Later on hearing about the incident, Pran Gopal Babu gave ₹10 to Baul for its maintenance. On instruction from this body, the money was used to erect a square platform 2 feet by 2 feet that covered the holy spot, and installed a 16 feet square bamboo fencing to surround it. Often this body would sit or lie on this platform when visiting the place. Later, when a thatched hut was erected and the foundation was raised all around, the place looked like a kund, pit. Later still, when the hut was replaced by a tin shed, this kund was filled up and a pillar the height of this body in a kneeling posture was erected. Afterwards, a shivling called Mahadev was installed on this spot. Shri Anandamayi Mat Ki Jai.